Friends, family, fans, welcome back to episode 69 of Back Nine Bets, the nicest of all episodes you'll ever find on this podcasting series. This show is always brought to you by rotoballer.com. Use Rotoballer as your premium PGA resource. We've got NFL, PGA, MLB, the whole shebang. Spencer's stuff's out there. Teal Sports stuff is amazing. You can get the full platinum package. You can get my stuff for like half the price. Whatever you want to do, just use code Maniac. Get yourself 10% off there for the week. Get yourself 10% off for the year. You'll have that through all of next year's majors and have a week for that. So that's what's cooking out there. We've got all the premium stuff. Thank you to rotoballer.com for all the stuff you guys do for me. And check out my stuff there, all on Twitter. Also, we're doing a $69 giveaway this week for Back Nine Bets because it's 69 on Back Nine, baby. We are rocking and rolling, and it's going to be a fun one. So just make sure you comment what's your nicest bet for this week's The Open Championship, the British Open. Whatever bet it could be. Could be a matchup, could be a placement, could be an outright. Whatever you heart desires. Whatever your heart desires. So we got the Open, and it's episode 69, the Rory story. That is the deal this week. We're playing over at Hoy Lake out in Liverpool in England. It's the Open. We're not playing on US soil, so potentially Tommy Fleetwood is live, but we've got a definite something we want to talk about Tommy about. But we'll get there. We will get there. But first, before we do any of that, let's dive into what we're actually going to be basing our rankings around, how we kind of approaching this week. We are kind of dumbing it down. And apologies, I look like a skunk if you're watching on YouTube. Your boy's been training his ass off for Ragbri, which is a 500-mile bike ride across Iowa, which happens end of this week. So I'm trying to finish up work. I'm trying to prep and give you guys the Open Championship content and putting in miles and miles on the bike saddle, and now I look like a skunk. I'm just seeing this because I wore aviators last night and did not see my eyes on camera. So no, Mom, no, I'm not on drugs. My eyes are just white, and it's just how it looks now. So this is what we're doing. We're going to have a good one. Let's dive into the model, figure out what we're doing here, and let's go from there. So like we said, we are dumbing it down a little bit this week. Because we have live players, because we have DP Tour World players, birdie or better stats, approach proximities, all of those like niche metrics are just not going to be applicable to these guys because we got so many different tours that we have to deal with right now. So we kind of just went with a basic strokes gained approach. We went with a basic strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained total, recent form, and majors. Strokes gained in majors. If you haven't gained strokes in majors, you're probably not going to find yourself that high up on the model, because major golf is major golf. It's difficult. It's competitive. It's tricky. It's tough. And it's major. So just got to put that out there. And we've also got ourselves some Open Championship course history in there. So that's basically it. Lots of 40% of the stats are approach, 25% of them are driving, 35% of them are around the green and chipping. So it's basically a very simple model just to make sure that we make being fair to everybody because this is the Open. And unfortunately, it's an open-ended sample size of people, and we are struggling to kind of get them all on the same wavelength. But it is what it is, and so it goes. So let's move on here, folks. Let us move on swiftly to the model and start talking about what on earth is going on this week. It's the goddamn Open Championship, and we're only going to say that once this podcast because the last time was a bit of a disaster. We've got Scotty Scheffler sitting at the top of the board here, folks. $12,500. And no, that's not in rands. That is in dollars. And that's expensive. But the cheapest guy in the slate is $5,500. So we've got a few gems that are a flat $6,000, which is typically the cheapest dude. But we've got a little bit more now to deal with, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see how it goes. I've built a few lineups trying to use Scotty. You can build a lineup with Scotty and Rory, but it's tight. You got to throw a guy like $5,800 in there to at least make it work. I do have one or two of those in store, and he's actually going to be part of the story that we're talking about here in 3 people's time. But Scotty, as you can see, the Open Championship in majors, the whole shebang, this guy is a beast, an absolute beast when it comes to all of this stuff. He leads the field in strokes gained majors. He leads the field in recent form. He leads the field in approach, and he's the third best driver of the golf ball in the field. What on earth are we supposed to do with that? $12,500, 21% ownership, looking real tight up there. Minus 200 for a top 20 for Scotty, who has done that 100% of his 14 starts. It almost seems like a bit of a no-brainer. The model doesn't like to bet minus 200 stuff, but this dude's finishing inside the top 20 at 100% clip this year. And he's minus 200 in a major, which is like exactly what suits his game. So very interesting situation there. $12,500 for Scotty. I don't know. I don't think we're going to be playing him this week, friends. I just don't think so. I don't think we're going to be playing him because that price tag is too crazy. We're going to go pretty much balls to the wall on Rory this week, along with the other 25% of people that are going to be doing that. But that's okay. We're going to go heavily overweight, potentially 2/3 of our lineups with Rory. And now I want to just put this out there. I have now shifted my strategy from single entries and 20 max to 150 max contest. Little mini max, 50-cent entries. That's how I'm rolling. And I have yet to have like a really disastrous week, even without having a good week. So it's been working out so well, like so far. We'll see how it goes going forward. I'm waiting. I still haven't beat the field in 6-for-6 rate, and I've lost like each time less than half my investment, which is kind of nice. In those 20 maxes, you can kind of lose everything because you've got such a small sample size. I tend to have a lot more of aggressive strategy, so that helps me because I can put a lot more aggressive players in my lineups in 150 of them. So that's kind of just a little play how you want to get your lineups going. Little talk there, and off we go. So we're out on Scotty, despite him being the very, very best player in the field throughout the whatchamacallit. But I said this to Joel on the Rainmakers podcast last night, Rainmakers Runway. Scotty has been finishing inside the top 10, 71% of the time. But because his putter just never shows up, and we always expect it to show up, but it just never does, he just finishes inside the top 10. He doesn't win these tournaments. He needs to make those putts down the stretch in order to win them, and he just can't. He just can't. He just cannot get the putts in the hole right now, and we keep expecting that to happen. But as true as Bob, and as true and as consistent as his ball striking is, his putter is just about as consistently losing him strokes. So, unfortunately, the upside is potentially not there with Scotty. At this price, that's a lot to ask for. For someone that's been finishing inside the top 5 a lot, I get it. But we need a winner. And he hasn't really been, he's been so close, but I just don't think he can get over the line, especially with this potentially getting to minus 20, minus 15, somewhere in that ballpark this week. We'll see what happens. The wind's not blowing around this venue. It's soft. It's not dry. It's soft. It's going to be easy to score, even though it's a difficult course. So we're kind of out on Scotty this week just because of that. Even though his birdie or better rate's pretty solid, all that jazz, we're kind of out on him just because of the price tag. Moving on to the next guy in the model. The second-ranked golfer we have, and it's because he would never be in the second spot here if we didn't just do the DP World Tour model, where we just use the basic strokes gained stats and major stats and things like that. Brooks Koepka is second in the field in strokes gained majors. He's sixth in the field in recent form. He's finished inside the top 20 in all 3 of his major starts this year. Top 10 in 2 of them. Almost won the Masters and won the PGA. Now we go to the Open, where we know Brooks Koepka is the second best strokes gainer in majors. And if you go and take a look at BetMGM, shout out to them who showed up in Iowa and they play ties in full. Minus 110 for Brooks Koepka to finish inside the top 20 seems like a bit of a no-brainer to me. Minus 110, ties paid in full. The value's there. We're going to that bad boy. Sign me up for that. Minus 110, Brooks Koepka to finish inside the top 20 at $10,400 and 12% owned. Sign me up for that. Like, the leverage is there, and he's $2,100 cheaper than Scotty. We're playing a major. This is Brooks we're talking about. I don't know how deep he can go, but he did win one of his majors at like minus 16 anyway. I have investigated that. So he can go low if he needs to. I don't mind him. He's got the upside. We know he can win. He knows a contender. We'll see what happens. So we're in on Brooksy. We love what he can get up to in these majors. The approach play in those 3 tournaments has been the best in the field. It's only those 3. Unfortunately, it's a small sample size, but man, oh man, is he a solid golfer. And we know what he can get up to in majors. 82 major rounds so far. So that's very impressive there, friends. Very, very, very impressive. 10,400, probably going to, that ownership's going to go up a little bit. Surely it can't be 12%. Either way, if it sits around 15, we're still very much involved. Scooting on down the board. And the next person, the name of the podcast, The Rory Story, friends. If you're listening on Spotify and iTunes, thank you so much. And if you are listening, you probably might follow me on Twitter where I shared my wonderful Photoshop. But this piece of work, friends, is on the screen here on YouTube. And it says, it ends where it begins, where it began. There's just these sad Rory faces in the black and white sadness. But then you see him sitting on the pot bunker lip with the trophy in his hands, where he won his only Open Championship at Royal Liverpool 2014. Rory McIlroy. Then there's a little silhouette of nobody, but just beautiful rainbow-colored clouds. He's going to overcome this thunderstorm. The rainbow's going to shine out. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful week for the man. He just won in Scotland, and it's going to be like one of those amazing situations. So, got a little analogy for you. Took my dogs to the vet today to get their nails trimmed. And as you know, maybe I've said this many times on the pod, but I'll say it again. My boy dog's name is Ernie, named after Ernie Els, who is playing in this tournament. And the big easy when he gets his nails trimmed is the big difficult. It's the big impossible. So there's a certain vet that only takes care of his nails, drive all the way out of town to get his nails clipped. And he was just squirming and just, man, oh man, could she not get it figured out? And I think that's what Rory's been up to lately. Prior to last week, he has been, every time he finds himself in contention, he's been squirming and worming, trying to just get his nails out of the claws of victory. But now, at the Scottish Open, he was held down, nails have been trimmed, and boy, oh boy, is he relaxed? Is he confident? Is he happy to not be in the space that he was just not so long ago? And we are going to be betting Rory McIlroy to win this tournament at plus 750. 7.5 to 1, plus 750. He is going to win at Royal Liverpool yet again. He's been very close to winning a major. Cam Smith, whose shirt we're busy rocking because he won the Open last year, stole it from Rory, the putting beast that Cam Smith is. But now we go to a course that is driver intensive. It's damp, it's moist, it's soft, it's green, it's Rory pristine. Did not even mean to rhyme it that way, but that is how it's going here, friends. We know what Rory can get up to on these long, soft golf courses. A par 71, 7,400 yards. Rory McIlroy is a beast on those. His form in the Open Championship is the third best in this field. His recent form is the second best in the field. His major form is the second or the third best in this field too. So Rory is just a major contender. And yes, some of that stuff happens from the back door. But man, oh man, when I went and looked at the Golf Digest flyover, I thought about, all I could see was Rory's driver. There's just these pot bunkers, and then behind the pot bunkers, there's open fairway. Now, I asked Michael Kim on Twitter if he could answer me. That would be very nice. I don't think he will, because that tweet he put out there blew up, so it's pretty much lost in the traffic there. But I'm curious as to, these bunkers are dangerous and they're lethal. They're like coffins. If you land up in these bunkers on the fairway, you're hacking out and losing a stroke. There's no reaching these fairways from these bunkers. So we need to avoid them. And you can avoid them by hitting it straight, but you can also avoid them by just flying over them, hitting over them, carrying them with the distance that Rory McIlroy has. There's nobody in this field that hits a golf ball further than Rory. He just sends it. He carries it 320 yards. Now, if there's some downwind holes, the wind's not going to be that hard this week, but if there are, he's got no problem getting his ball over these pot bunkers, where everyone else is going to be landing their ball right in that vicinity. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what the carry distances are to these pot bunkers. I was driving today thinking, probably should buy myself a yardage book for every tournament, just on eBay. Is there some way I can just get yardage books for these tournaments to see what we're going to get from these events? Because if he can fly these pot bunkers, because Scotty and Brooksy and John Rahm, they solid, they got distance, but that extra 10 yards can just make that difference. You can carry those bunkers. And we've seen his approach play has been getting better. And also, if you take a look at, we went and kind of just organically or manually kind of did the holes. We kind of just plugged in the scorecard, and it kicked out these proximities. We've got the majority of the shots are going to be coming from 150 and out. A lot of them coming from 175 to 250 plus, about half of them. So there's a lot of shots that are going to be coming with these long irons. And we know that's his strength, although the wedges last while have kind of been moving in the right direction. So there's a lot to like about Rory, a whole very much to like about him. So check out Rory, BetMGM, enhanced odds. You can get yourself a plus 750, or I saw at DraftKings there's a plus 800 out there. And if you haven't made your bet yet, you can get 300 points added on to that. So you can get 11-1 Rory to win the Open Championship. I put $25 on there because that's the maximum amount I could. And hopefully he wins, because then hopefully, we got ourselves some damage. So we split the rest of that on BetMGM. Bet Rivers, and off we go. And they even provide you with a top 10 insurance. So if he finishes inside the top 10, I think I get my money back. So it's kind of like some good deals out there, especially if you're putting a single bullet out there for Rory. So we'll see what he can get up to. I'm thoroughly going to be playing Rory in DFS as well, along with as the most high-owned golfer in the field. It is what it is. We're going to play 2/3 of Rory in all of our lineups and kind of rotate everybody else through there and see how that goes. We kind of all in. If he has a good week this week, we are looking pretty. So that's what we're going in there. That's why we're fading Scotty, because we're going balls to the wall with Rory. If he wins and Scotty finishes second, I think, that's a victory in DFS there. So we'll see what happens. That's what's cooking, folks. That's what's cooking. That's our only outright. 18 minutes in, the third golfer on the slate, and that's it. 7.5-1. Maybe if we see Tommy Fleetwood at like 80-1 on a Saturday morning, we'll throw some money on him because we know he's allergic to the leaderboard. But if he's way down there, he's roaring up that leaderboard, baby. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Next up is John Rahm, $11,200, $700 cheaper than Rory, not nearly playing nearly as well. But also we saw Johnny wasn't quite feeling it after the Masters, after all of that jazz. The approach plays there, the short game went. It just disappeared. What was keeping him afloat disappeared. And the ball striking, the driver started going left on him. That's not what John Rahm does. He eliminates the left side of the golf course. It was going left on him now. So that's what's going on with John Rahm's driver. And that's why over the last 24 rounds, he's only 10th in the field. Historically, one of the greatest drivers of the golf ball. So you got that going on there with John Rahm. Even this season, he's 16th in the field, which is not good. So we'll see what he can get up to, but he's a very good iron player. He's had some rest now. Hopefully, Johnny can get it rolling. He's 11,002, 14%. That's very affordable from an ownership perspective. He's also significantly cheaper than the other two, and he can win majors. We know he can. He's got the 5th best strokes gain in majors. So that's delightful to see. We see his recent forms kind of just dwindled. It's outside the top 10, but we said he was fatigued the last few tournaments, so he's had some rest, and off we go. So we'll see what he can get up to. Leads the field in birdies, leads the field in par 5 scoring. Those long irons, there's no one really much better than when John Rahm's on form, hitting those long irons into these kind of greens. We'll see what the short game can bring. Probably play him in about a third or 30% of our lineups if he stays at about 14%. So that's what's cooking there with Johnny. There's a lot to like. And there is a lot to like, too, about Xander Schauffele. So the thing is, with Rory and Scotty sitting at 12, 500, 11, 900, it's tough to get all these other guys in your lineup. So that's why you have to almost like leave one or two of them out. You can't play them all because they're so expensive. You can't put two guys in. You can't put a 10-10, 10-1, a 9-8 like Ricky Xander together because they're $2,000 more expensive, which is ridiculous. Speaking of Xander, he is 5th in the model. And we're going to try and keep this episode to 69 minutes because that's just on brand. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. So we've got another 48 minutes to go, and we're going to rattle off some names here. Xander Schauffele sits 5th in the model, and he's plus 105 to finish a top 20 in a major. And this man has finished top 20 in 71% of his starts. Outside of Brooks and Scotty this year, that's the best top 20 rate in the field. Tyrrell Hatton's close, got the same exact top 20 rate. But that's it. No one's got a better top 20 rate than Xander Schauffele, and we're getting him plus money in a major to finish inside the top 20. He's got the 13th best open scoring history. He's got the 6th best strokes gained in majors. And he's got the 10th best recent form entering the week. So he's not necessarily playing the best golf coming into the week, but he thrives in major golf. He thrives at the Open. He can get it done. So we'll see what he can get up to around the greens. That's kind of been his problem too, a bit of a kryptonite around the greens there, but maybe these are a bit different, you know. Maybe he just gets it together. We'll see what happens. He's a long iron savant. The guy's a beast from 200 plus. He's a birdie machine, a par 5 scorer, general overall golf baller. You know, that's what you're going to get from Xander Schauffele. Plus 105, ties paid in full at BetMGM for a top 20 for Xander Schauffele. Sign me up for that, baby. Let's go. Like, what are we doing? 93% of the time he's inside the top 40. So if you get ties paid in full, that could potentially be like a T26th. You never know. That's like basically a top 40 almost, you know, a few spots off. That happens 93% of the time. 71% of the time, it's a top 20. So you're getting some seriously high floor from Xander. The ceiling, not so much. 21st in T10 rate. He doesn't quite just finish inside the top 10. He's also like Tommy. Doesn't like to find himself frequenting the top of the leaderboard, but he loves to just play solid golf. And that's what we're going to thrive on this week, and we're not even going to play him at $10,100. We're just going to bet him and go from there because that's how we're going to have to roll this week. Go get him, Xander. X-Gon, give it to us. Plus money. Ties paid in full. Top 20. Plus 105. BetMGM. Go grab yourself one of those tickets right now. Got ourselves a little Captain Morgan and Coke here in the glass. Life's good over here on Back 9 Bets, episode 69, the Rory story. Thank you all for tuning in. Go and give yourself a little comment in the comment section if you're interested in me sending you a little Zelle or Venmo or whatever you want from appreciative thank you for participating in the shows all year. Thank you for being there, for providing the likes. We love you over here on Back 9 Bets. Go and retweet that pinned tweet on my profile on Twitter at the Model Maniac, and I will find you the lucky winner and send you $69 for episode 69. So thank you all for being the best, and we will continue cruising down the leaderboard here. 6th in the model is Cam Smith. He is $10,700. He is 9% owned, and he's minus 105 to finish inside the top 20. Now, when I went and did that flyover, boy, oh boy, did I see some danger on the left-hand side of this golf course. And not just like bad, like rough. There's OB, I think, on like 4 of the 6 holes or so. It's left. And Cam Smith is Captain Hook. We've got the Captain Morgan. Cam Smith's got the Captain Hook. And if you're going to be hitting your third shot from the tee box in an open where people are going to be trying to get to minus 15, minus 17, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. And at 18-1, he's one of the lowest odds golfers, and it's one of his lowest odds we've seen on Cam Smith in the past. Typically, the odds makers have disrespected him and found him in the 20s, which I love. It's part of the reason why I got shifted to Rory's, because I wanted to bet Cam, but saw those OBs left, saw how demanding the tee shots are going to be here. I don't know. I don't know about him winning this tournament, but I know that I saw a tweet that said he is the leading birdie and eagle maker in majors over the last forever. He's a DFS beast. He's $10,700 and he's sub 10% owned, friends. And he makes the most birdies in the field. He's going to make some doubles, maybe, but he's going to make some birdies. And he's going to make them hard. He's going to make them fast. That's what Cam Smith does. We'll see what he can get up to. If that putter rolls, boy, oh boy, are they in trouble. But we just don't think he's got the consistency off the tee to get it done around this kind of venue. At those kind of odds, we think Rory's going to be the guy. But man, when you take a look at Cam Smith's iron play, it's pretty solid. He hits a lot of good shots. He leads the field in the 3 tournaments that we've played in good shot rate, which is amazing. So he hits a lot of good shots, which means he gains over half a stroke on a single approach shot, the most in the field. But from 150 to 200, he doesn't really gain that many strokes on approach, which is kind of interesting. And it gets a little better the further away we go. And particularly from the rough, he's very good because he finds himself there a lot. So that makes a lot of sense. The math checks out. Will Farrell gift insert. We'll see what he can get up to. The bogey and birdie of numbers there, don't just ignore those, because obviously he doesn't have any of those because Liv doesn't carry those kind of stats. But Cam is our guy. 10-7, 9% owned. We're going to be playing a bit of him. We have to. He's the leading birdie and eagle maker in the majors over the last while. You got to play Cam Smith, even at $10,700. That ownership leverage is delightful. Play 20% of him, and off you go. So that's where we're going to be dueling out over here. And then next up is Ricky Fowler at $9,800, 12% owned in the majors. He tends to perform too. Now, this is Ricky Fowler, who hasn't been playing very well over the long duration of time. He's only just figured stuff out recently. So we're getting strokes gain numbers here in the Open and in majors from 2018. And we know Ricky had a lull, but I guess he never even played in some of the majors. So maybe that's how bad his game was, is that he wasn't even able to get into these majors to play bad enough in them to make his strokes gained go backwards, which is kind of hilarious, isn't it? I just realized that right now on the pod. I was like, how are his major strokes gained that good, but he played that bad for that long? It's because he wasn't in them. So there you go. There you have it. But he leads. He's 5th in the field in recent form. The ball striking, the everything. Like one of the worst things Ricky has on his resume right here is his accuracy off the tee, which is 87th. But you know what? The majority of these guys in this field, outside of Scotty, all of the top 7 golfers in the field, outside of Scotty Scheffler, so 6 of the 7, that's it. Inside the top 44 in strokes gained off the tee, all sit outside the top 83 in accuracy. So distance over accuracy is obviously a prerequisite on the PGA Tour. Now, with so much out of bounds around this golf course, with so many shrubs, without so many, there's some issues here. But all of these guys, apart from Scotty, have that kind of problem. So we'll see what happens. But don't be surprised if these guys are hitting 3 woods and stuff to keep it safe. We'll see what cooks. But Ricky, 9-8, 12%, plus 120 for a top 20. Just couldn't get there. It was pretty close, but he's just not in this field. We'll see what happens. Mrs. Maniac's busy dying in the kitchen, cooking some food. So apologies if you hear her busy taking her last breath over there after some cumin inhalation. But life goes on here for Ricky Fowler. So I'm not necessarily sure we're going to be playing him. We can't play as many people as we want here. I think Victor Hovland is someone I would rather put my chips on over Ricky Fowler. Because if we're looking for upside, Ricky's going to be there at $98 and $10,000 between Victor and Ricky. I feel like they are very similar in nature. They're going to provide you with consistency. But we've seen Victor, when he gets in the mix, he is not afraid to contend nowadays. It's the Open. It's going to be a very precise situation. And now, remember I said all these other guys were way the heck out on accuracy off the tee? Well, Victor Hovland's 21st in accuracy off the tee. So this, to me, seems like an absolute green light. He should find himself frisky without any risky tee shots. And I'm looking forward to watching Victor play. $10,000. He's going to be in my player pool for sure. He's made every one of his 14 cuts. He's inside the top 10, 3 out of 10 times every time he tees it up. And he's got the second best Open strokes gained track record. He's got the 9th best major track record. And we've seen in his last little while, Victor has actually been sensational in majors. That track record is going back all the way to 2018 when Victor's short game kind of let him down a little bit. If you take a look at his last 4 majors, T4, T7, T2, and 19th. Yes, he is now a major contender. So sign me up for that. When he is in contention, I trust him to put his foot on someone's throat or to go for the jugular or to not back down, foot on the gas, whatever. I know Ricky just won the Rocket Mortgage, but it's the Rocket Mortgage and it wasn't like he won it. You know, he made the birdie from the rough. It is what it is. But the 2 tee shots that he needed to absolutely dial it in regulation, Ricky almost hit in the water. He was so close to hitting it in the water on the final hole. Then in the playoff, he hit it way into he had to drop because there was TRO in the way. It may have been water, it may have been TRO. Either way, he got to drop his ball in the rough and hit a shot in from a preferred lie, basically. So, sign me up for Victor over Ricky in this range, and off we go. If you're looking for a $9,000 golfer, $9,600 to get low, I shared a tweet a while ago about guys who get under minus 15 regularly. And Colin Morikawa does just that. And he does that with a putter that has historically been rather disappointing. He's not the best putter in the world, but when it comes to majors, old Colin Morikawa, we're going to just do some unhiding here real quick. There we go. And rehiding because we want to see what's going on here. But Colin Morikawa, friends, does his thing in majors. I'm going to highlight his stuff here so you can take a quick little peek. If you take a look at his strokes gained putting for the year, for the season, it's 107th in the field. But if you take a look at strokes gained putting in majors, it's 36th. And the same goes for his around the green play. If you take a look at what he gets up to around the greens in majors, let's get rid of all this other jazz quickly afterwards. So we keep it nice and tidy here on Back 9 Bets, episode 69, the Rory story. Take a look at old Colin Morikawa's around the green in majors. It's 47th compared to 66th. But his biggest issue is the putting, which is 107th, and now in majors, it is 36th. So you can't go wrong with Colin in a major. He's $9,600. The wind isn't going to be crazy apart from Saturday. So sign me up for Colin Morikawa in a major. We're going to go to him. $9,600. Let's go, baby. We like him a lot. He's affordable for a guy that can win a major. He's looking for his 3rd. It's been a while since he's been there, but we know what he can get up to. The approach play, 2nd best in the field, last 24 rounds. The putting is 76th over that period. If we get a 36th best putting performance from Colin in a major, off we go, friends. We are off to the races with Colin Morikawa at $9,600, sub 15% ownership. Boom, boom. Let's go. I love what we can get there. And now he's also accurate as balls. 5th in the field in accuracy. So if you don't have distance, you have to have accuracy here. Avoid those pot bunkers. You know, insert the Stephen A's comment. Stay off the weed. Avoid the pot bunkers. You want to make sure you're safe in the fairway. Drug-free. This is how you want to go playing the Open this week. Those bunkers are a coffin. Dangerous situation. See, someone just left the chat after we drop a weed reference. I'm sorry about that, but this is how dangerous this golf course is. Colin Morikawa is in the mix. Let's go. Patrick Cantley, $9,900. The guy, if you imagine a two-dimensional house, that's Patrick Cantley's floor and ceiling. It's just a flat piece of paper. There's like zero room. There's no space to walk in there because the floor is the ceiling and the ceiling is the floor. I think Justin Ray sent out a tweet today. Patrick Cantley's like the only person to finish inside the top 15 in the last 5 majors or something, but he's also never been within 5 shots of the lead going into the final round of a major. So you're going to get consistency, but are you really going to find a guy that's going to win a major for you? Whereas these other guys, Victor's been in the mix, Colin's been in the mix, Cameron Smith, obviously, Rory, John Rahm, Brooks. These guys know how to get it done. Cantley, not so much. I'm out on him. I'm not a fan in this major situation. I'm looking for upside. I'm not looking for consistency. I've got a lot of Cantley in Rainmakers. We'll deal with that then. Off we go. Although he is one of the top birdie makers, although he is one of the best par 5 scorers, we not can't be going to Cantley. We just can't get there. We can't play everybody, and we got to find a reason why not to. And I think, as you can see here, both of these stats are outside of the top, the whatchamacallit here. The strokes gained for majors and the Open, not the best. So we'll see what he gets up to. I'm not entirely sure. You can't play everyone, friends, so off we go. Tommy Fleetwood, 4th in the Open Championship scoring, 17th in strokes gained in majors. Recent form is 8th. He's $9,300 and 19% owned. That's only going to go up. Top 10 rate for Tommy is 36% of the time, which is amazing. I would be very curious to see how many times he wasn't inside the top 10 going into the final round, or how often he was leading the tournament and then barely finished inside the top 10. Now, if you take a look at what Tommy gets up to, everyone that we've spoken about so far, Brooks, Cam Smith, you can imagine those are birdie-making machines. Although their number says 105th, let's assume they're inside the top 10. Especially Cam. We know he's inside the top 5. Potentially the number 1 birdie maker. Brooksy, most likely inside the top 10. Tommy Fleetwood, without those guys inside the top 10, is 30th in the field in birdie or better rates in my model. And I went and double-checked and made sure that I was just bringing in. Don't want to be biased, so I went and checked the last 24 rounds for Tommy. He's only 20th in birdie or better gained of the last 24 rounds when he's been balling out. So Tommy Fleetwood is going to be 19% owned, and we're going to expect a guy that can't make that many birdies to get to minus 15, minus 18 to win this tournament. It's the Open Championship. He's played well here before, I understand. And we've also seen Tommy Fleetwood. He should have won the RBC Canadian, but there just comes a point in his time where he doesn't know how to win. And if you're going to tell me you're going to give me a 19% owned guy, 20% owned guy that hasn't won on the PGA Tour, yes, he's been playing so well. He's been playing so great. It's going to the Open. This is DFS. At 20%, $9,300, I know there's value there. I understand that. But if this course opens up and it gets soft and we see birdies flying left, right, and center, I don't think Tommy Fleetwood has got 4 days of that in him. There's usually a day that he lets it slip. There's also usually a day that he just goes nuclear. So he's a showdown guy. On a Friday, on a Saturday morning, or a Sunday, depending on how he's played that week, if he's far from the top of the leaderboard, you play Tommy Fleetwood. The closer to the top of the leaderboard, the worse he plays. It's just how it is. So at this ownership, we're out. We are out. I don't see him doing it. I don't see him making enough birdies. For that reason, Mark Cuban, we are out. Bryson DeChambeau, on the other hand, is someone we're going to go to at $8,800. I know my buddy E has got a Bryson DeChambeau outright at like 72-1, which is real appealing to me, if you ask me. Although the Open Championship hasn't necessarily ever been his friend, but that was when he was spraying it all over the place. Now his drive is not the worst. Yes, the accuracy is pretty bad still. But he hit a lot of greens, a lot of fairways, at the PGA Championship. A lot of fairways. He's a good iron player at times. He avoids a lot of bad shots in his 3 tournaments he's played so far. But this is the problem. And when I was looking at matchups earlier, all the bookies have got a PGA player versus a live player. They're just hedging their bets. They're just sucking up all that juice that they're inserting into these matchups, and they're making us simpletons go and bet these matchups with limited data. They don't care. They're just going to make it even money and take money on both sides and just live it that way. There's no edges involved in the matchups right now because we don't have data on these guys. There's 3 starts of official data and finishing placements in solid events, and they've all been majors. Now we've got to make a bet off of that. Please, cry me a river. Like, I'm out. Not going to get there. Sorry. So Bryson, we're going to play him at $8,800, 6% though, because he's also capable of just carrying those bunkers. He's probably going to jack 1 or 2 out of town, but everyone else is probably going to hit multiple into the fairway bunkers and have to hit one out of them. So if he keeps carrying them, potentially hitting one out of bounds every now and then, he's going to be losing 2 strokes on that out of bounds shot, but he's also not going to be having to hit out of the bunker twice more than the other guys are going to just be hitting it into the bunkers. So that's what's cooking over there. I'm also not seeing any comments, which is kind of weird. Sometimes we get comments, sometimes we don't. So I'm just going to double check that we haven't had any because I don't know. Nope. Okay. So y'all are just sleeping on the couch there watching. Okay. Someone send me some love. I need a little bit of love over here, folks. Show your boys some love. It's episode 69, the Rory story. Let's keep on scooting down. We're going to talk about Tyrrell Hatton, $9,400, the next highest owned guy behind Tommy Fleetwood. These 2 dudes are going to be finding themselves in so many lineups. You don't even want to know. You don't even want to know. We're playing DFS. Anything can happen. Tyrrell, also one of these guys that kind of just ejects himself out of contention once a tournament. He just has one of those rounds where it just doesn't quite happen. So we'll see what he can get up to. I'm not entirely sure what old Tyrrell is going to be doing. $9,400. He cashed us a top 20 last week. Thank you, Tyrrell, at plus money. Solid stuff. Maybe you just bet him at plus 120 for a top 20 this week and call it quits at 18% ownership. He's most likely going to finish inside the top 20. He's most likely not going to be a guy that's contending for the win, though. I don't know. He's kind of been one of those dudes that doesn't necessarily show up that much in majors. So I don't know if I'm going to be playing Tyrrell this week, especially in the majors. The form isn't quite there to kind of get there. And the ownership is bananas. So I'm probably going to fade Tommy and Tyrrell. If those 2 guys suck it up this week, we're in business. Because I bet you 9% of people that play Tommy Fleetwood are going to be playing Tyrrell Hatton as well. Kind of thing. So that's what you're going to be getting there. Now, let's talk about Jordan Spieth. We've got to get down the board here. And we're sitting at 43 minutes. So, Jordan Spieth, friends, finds himself at $9,700 and 7% owned. So you only have to play Jordan Spieth in like 15% of your lineups to get 2x the field. And we are talking about a golfer who's 10th in strokes gained in majors, but is the number 1 strokes gainer at the Open Championship. Jordan freaking Spieth. He's an artist. He's a wonderful, just ball striker, natural skill, ability. See my FRL man, first round leader, my man on Twitter. If you want to follow a really cool nerdy account about first round leader stats, go and follow first round leader on Twitter. I'm assuming that is the same person. Thank you for at least letting me know that they are. I'm not preaching to the choir, or I'm not preaching to a whole bunch of deaf ears. We've got some people listening out there. So I appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you for showing up. We love you. Jordan Spieth, 97, 7% owned. You can throw him in a lineup or 2 at that price and at that ownership. He's the number 1 strokes gainer at the Open. Accuracy off the tee, 120th. Disastrous. Not good. But he has magic beans that nobody, and I mean nobody else has. And when he gets feeling it, on a course like this, out of bunkers. He's one of the best bunker players. I know his stats don't necessarily show it, but man, oh man, he can recover out of a bunker. And I think people are going to be having to do that a lot this week. So sign us up for Jordan Spieth. I'm out on Dustin Johnson. Hasn't finished inside the top 10 in a single major yet, although his putter was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious in the last major. I think he could have won the US Open. Oh, yeah. Anytime, buddy. So it is you. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Love your stuff. Absolutely love your stuff. DJ. Out on DJ. Not in on him. The safety's there, but the upside not so much at that ownership. I'd rather play Jordan Spieth. Shane Lowry, same situation as Tommy Fleetwood. Shane Lowry's birdie or better rate is 49th in the field. Yes, Shane Lowry gained 1 million strokes putting last week. That wasn't Shane Lowry. Looked like Shane Lowry. I refuse to believe that that was the man who on his birth certificate is Shane Lowry. That's his doppelganger who's been putting 23 hours a day for the last 35 years. There's no way Shane Lowry's that good of a putter this week again. So I'm out on him. He's going to be rather high owned, I'm assuming. I don't see that ownership staying at 12%, especially after what he did last week. We're out on Shane Lowry. We are in, however, on a guy that has a pink box for a strokes gained majors category. And Justin Rose, friends, at $8,000 flat, is the best major putter since 2018. He leads the field in strokes gained putting in majors. And hilariously, everyone down the board here, we've got second and third sitting in 23rd and 24th in the model, which is kind of peculiar too. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be a good... My man, Brandt, I'm just here for the weed jokes. There we go. I got you, brother. Have a rip there for me. Cheers. Stay out the pot bunkers there, my friend, or get into them, whatever you want to do. So appreciate you tuning in, my buddy, and let's have ourselves a week. We are all legal to gamble, and we are all adults, so we can make those kind of jokes. But talking about Justin Rose, he is the number one strokes gained putter in majors. He has let us down. My oh my, I had like 40% Justin Rose. I had like so much Justin Rose at the US Open. My lineups were toast after Thursday morning. It was ridiculous. He was like 20-something% owned. So I might have even had like 50. I had so much Justin Rose at the last major. Now he's $8,000. And his approach play has still been great. We know how good his putting has been in majors. I'm going to go back to him at $8,000 flat. I can't pass that up. His accuracy off the tee is good enough. Just avoid hitting an iron into the river, Justin Rose, like you did at the RBC Canadian, please. And then we can be friends again. Jeez, like that was a disgusting. Like you've burnt me so many times, dude. So every rose has its thorn, and he's got at least 3 in my side so far. It is time to pluck 1 or 2 of them out and give me some rose petals. I want some Bon Jovi roses. I don't want some Justin Roses. Give me some love. Let's go. You're a great major putter. You're pretty solid around the greens. You're actually worse than normal. Not good. But give me some love, dude. Give us some love. Major strokes gained. Here's his thing. The Open Championship. He's solid in there inside the top 20 in strokes gained. He's only $8,000. Let's get some Justin Rose in our life. Hopefully he can redeem himself, and off we go. Whew. Gonna have to take a sip after that Justin Rose rant. Cheers, Brandt. Great content, mate. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Trying my best, doing our thing. We love you. So let's cruise on down here to Tony Finau, where we're not going to even talk about. You can't play a guy that's just been this bad at putting. 125th in the field in strokes gained putting. And when it comes to putting in majors, it gets even worse. So someone putting bad going into a major where he puts worse? No, sorry. We're out 14%, $8,200. Not going to be playing him. Wyndham Clark, however, is in the mix, friends. He is in the mix. Recent form, 4th in the field. He is the reigning US Open champion. We know he can putt in majors because he putted his way to major victory in the US Open. He's minus 135 for a top 40 at BetMGM. I think he played okay last week, definitely inside the top 40. He's 10% owned. I'm jumping over the place here. Wyndham Clark, BetMGM, ties paid in full for a top 40, minus 135. So you put your $37 down and you grab yourself a $30 profit because Wyndham Clark finishes inside the top 40 87% of the time. And we're getting a minus 135 price tag for a top 40. A top 40 for Wyndham Clark. This is the US Open champ. And we were talking about, I know the accuracy for him is terrible too, but he's got the 8th best distance. Those pot bunkers are out of the way. He's going to be flying high over the pot bunkers. The iron play. He's one of the best iron players when he's dialed in. 8th in good shot rates. Over the last little while, he's 18th. You know, the irons have kind of gone off the boil a little bit, but we saw them absolutely get hot. Around the green, he's solid. Putting, he's very good since he's moved to that putter. 9th in the field recently. So sign us up for Wyndham Clark. I know the Open record isn't the best. That's why he's 19th. But he's a different dude now. He's read that psychology book, and now he's ready to rock and roll. So we're signing ourselves up for Wyndham Clark all day. Let's go. I love him. 87% top 40 rate. We're going to get minus 135. Ties paid in full. If you want to grab some closer to plus money, go to FanDuel or somewhere and just get it closer to that, because I don't think he's even going to be flirting with on the cut line of top 40. He's probably going to be inside the top 30. So go do that. I love this bet, minus 135 for Wyndham to finish inside the top 40. That is just nuts, in my opinion. We're going to be playing him at $8,700 too. Not going to be playing a decky. Can't make nearly enough birdies. 32nd in the field in birdie rates. Not good enough for my taste buds. Corey Connors at 77, 12%. We're going to eat a bit of chalk here in the $7,700 range because we like Corey at this price tag. Yes, we do like what he can get up to. Weighted good shot rate for Corey, 4th in the field. Guy hits the irons dialed in, and he's accurate off the tee, 38th. So he's solid. He gains a lot of strokes off the tee by being accurate and a reasonable length. You know, he's just average length, but pretty accurate for most part. And those irons can get it done. The putting and the chipping in majors is bad. Jesus, do we want to do that at 12%? No, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Monitor the ownership. If it gets more than 12, we're probably out. You know, like that's probably pushing it. We prefer Wyndham. Like he's got way more upside in a major situation than Corey. Even though Corey was at the US, he almost won the PGA until he hit it in the bunker like Victor did. Anyway, we're going to keep on moving down. Matty Fitzpatrick at 95, 5% ownership. Holy cow. He said, don't bet on me. You know what happened when Colin said that when he couldn't hit his irons off the Scottish turf when he won the Open the following week. So that's what you get when you listen to these psychos talk in press conferences. We know these golfers don't know what they're talking about. They don't even know if they're going to play well. Like, how often do you show up to a golf course and you think you're going to play well and you don't, and then you don't think you're going to play well and you do? They're just like us. You know, they're much better, but their volatility and outliers, unless you're Scotty Scheffler, it's way out there. So at 5% ownership, I mean, how can you not put him in just 10% of your lineups? He's 2 years ago, he was the US Open champion. You know, like also, let's see what he can get up to. Not a bad little play there. Next up on the board is Denny McCarthy. We want to talk about him for a top 40, where he does 3 out of 4 times in his 16 starts. So 12 times Denny McCarthy has finished inside the top 40 in his 16 starts, and we're getting plus 115. It is his first Open. I am a little concerned about that, but he's a really good putter. The around the green play is a concern. It is what it is. But we've seen him get up to some serious business in majors. You know, the strokes gained in majors, 25th in the field. We're going to get plus 115 in a major for top 40. Seems like the math checks out there. He's 3 out of the 4 times, 75% of the time, he's finishing inside the top 40, and we're getting odds that are indicative that he's doing it maybe like 40% of the time, 45, you know, like this is an edge. We bet the edges, you know, like he's just a solid golfer. He's $7,300, 8% owned. Let's go. Denny McCarthy, you know, he's shown he can shine. He can do it. Now, you know what? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. So we'll see what he can get up to, but we're going to bet him top 40 at that price. Plus 115 on BetMGM, ties paid in full. Boom. Next up is Adam Scott. Boy, oh boy, is he something that can make things happen. Majors, nothing crazy, nothing spectacular. It is what it is. He's been playing solid golf coming into the week. 15th in the field in the last 24 rounds. Missed the cut last week. That is what it is. It's fine. He makes 85% of his cuts. One of them he missed last week. So that number's gone down since last week, which is fine. I like his driving ability, the distance. He's got length. He can absolutely send it. So if we find this course is soft, if things go, the way they look, you're going to need some length off the tee. There were guys saying today they can barely drive to the dog legs when Tiger Woods was hitting irons off the tee in a crispy brown 2009 or 6 or whatever the year was. 2014 was a bit softer. Rory won that. Surprise, surprise. A wet golf course that Rory played well on. So if it stays nice and wet this week, let's go, baby. The wetter it gets, the better it gets for us. So we're going to roll and rock and roll, and we're going to play Adam Scott at $7,900. Let's do that. Gary Woodland, friends, he finished inside the top 40 50% of the time in his 16 starts, and his strokes gained in majors is 41st. So we'll see what he can get up to. I know the Open's never been his friend, which is interesting, but he's got tons of length off the tee, which we're going to. We like length off the tee this week. And if you take a look at Gary Woodland, he's just like Colin Morikawa. 132nd around the greens this season, 71st around the greens in majors, 145th in putting this season, 85th in putting in majors. So this is the Gary Woodland situation. We're going to bet him at plus 130. Ties paid in full at BetMGM. Can get a better number if you don't want those ties. I'd probably play the ties, especially for Gary. He kind of flirts with that top 50 a bit more than old Wyndham Clark does and Denny. So I still like that number for him, and I like him if he doesn't get too super chalky going into the week. I like Gary Woodland from a ball striking perspective. We'll see what he can get up to. The birdie percentage, it's okay. Smells like there's some onions being cooked not so far away from me. I'm getting a bit of a nasal rush here, but hey, we'll sip on a little Captain and get that all figured out. So Gary Woodland, plus 130 for a top 40, and off we go. He does that about 50% of the time. So that's not too shabby at all. We don't mind Cameron Young at 7% ownership. This is a guy that's has major talent. The Open, obviously, 5th best strokes gain in Opens because he finished like 3rd last year. So the reason it's not like 2nd or 3rd like he did finish is if you don't have enough sample size, it divides. So you get to like 8 rounds of golf. So that's why it's going backwards a bit. Remind Mrs. Maniac not to cook onions in the middle of a podcast because things are going astray here. Holy cow. Okay. But strokes gaining majors, even since he's been playing badly, 26th in the field. It's not too bad, but distance, 5th in the field. He is insane. So he's going to be carrying those bunkers like a beast. Off he goes. 7% ownership, $9,000. Let's go. He's also changed his golf ball. He changed his golf ball in the middle of playing some amazing golf so that he could have a bit more whatever. Now he's gone back to the original one that he was playing so well with, and he played pretty well at the John Deere Classic till the weekend. So he's got that upside back inside of him now. We haven't seen that upside golf from Cameron Young. He's just been scraping through with that old golf ball. Now new golf ball, give some pop, give some upside, but more consistency. We'll see what happens on the greens, all that jazz. Let's go to Cameron Young. Adam Schenk, friends, is our last bet of the day. At a clean 59 minutes, yeah? Adam Schenk finds himself plus 200. Ties paid in full for Adam Schenk, who, in majors, has the 59th best strokes gained. So that's fine. You know, we're betting a top 40 for a guy at plus 200. So that means he's got a 33% chance of that happening, according to the books. So 60th is fine. You know, that's okay. He finishes inside the top 40 in all of his 21 starts this season, 48% of the time. And he's been playing some really good golf. The last 24 rounds, he's almost won 1 or 2 tournaments. We've been on him. the John Deere at the Rockets. He's been in the mix. Maybe we go to a bit more birdies, but easier golf course. Maybe Adam Shank can get it going. $7,200, 2% owned, plus 200 for a top 40. Let's go there. He's solid. He's also got solid length off the tee. So we'll see what he can get up to. What does he do when it comes to majors? When he putts well, he putts better in majors apparently and doesn't chip nearly as well in majors. So it's a bit of give and take. That's okay. We don't mind him. It's going to be his first Open Championship because we don't see any box over there. No number in that box. And we're starting to get to that range now where we got guys playing in their debuts. Going to be fun. But plus 200, and we're betting on two guys. Maybe that's why the books. They think that you have to have some solid track record. You know what? We've got comp courses. You have these two guys played. Oh, boy. Have they played? No, they haven't. Neither of them have played on links courses. So we're taking a bit of a risk there. But, hey, you know what? Got to risk it for the biscuit every now and then. We like the numbers. It's just a golf course at the end of the day. So it's a top 40. We're not looking for high upside. We're not looking for any of that nonsense. Just a top 40 from two of them, and off we go. So sign us up for that nonsense there, and off we go back down all the way to Chris Kirk, who I'm a big fan of. I think we got to play some Chris Kirk. $7,000 flat. Provides you with incredible salary relief. 27th in strokes gained in majors. For Chris Kirk, that's $7,000. He pops in majors. Gets it done every now and then. For $7,000, we're going to need some salary relief if you're playing Rory and all that stuff. I don't know. Pebble as a comp course, I was thinking that on the pod yesterday with Joel. And because I think we were talking about Tom Hoagie. I don't know. I think it's a bit more shorter. I don't know if this is going to be comp. I think John Rahm was saying that you got to hit a few more drivers. I don't think there's going to be that many layup holes here this year. I think it's still a long golf course. I don't think Pebble's close to 7,400 yards, is it? So I don't know. From a links perspective in the wind, I think it's definitely there. But I don't know about like the shot selection. I think there's probably a few more wedges around Pebble versus this course. I think you're going to find a few more long irons going into this course than Pebble. So it's a bit different, but more driver intensive, I would say. But that's also just my small opinion about this golf course. You choose your own battles there, my man. Mr. FRL. Henrik Stenson passed the only one of the few times that the second placed golfer, aka Phil Mickelson, would have gained enough strokes to have won any other Open Championship but lost to Henrik Stenson. So that's go. Henrik Stenson's a boss, 2% owned, $6,200. He's on live now. He does his thing. He's pretty accurate off the tee, apparently still back on live. Doesn't have a lot of distance, but he jacks that 3-wood around like nobody's business. It's so fun to watch. I've seen it live back home in South Africa, and man, oh man, is it fun. So if you give me a Henrik Stenson at 6,200, I'm going to be playing him for sure at the Open. Absolutely. Nick Taylor is somebody else I'm also going to be playing. $7,100. He's going to be 2% owned. He plays some solid golf when it comes to just getting hot and hot to trot. He played pretty nicely, obviously winning the Canadian Open. We'll see what he can do and go from there. He's someone I'm very intrigued in, and he seems like he's got pretty good upside. You know, for someone in this price range, for 19% ownership, can't go wrong. Makes a lot of birdies. His scoring stats are what usually drive him higher up in the model. With this simple model that we have without the scoring stats, par 5 scoring, birdie or better rates, 19th and 18th for him. He's not necessarily popping in the model because we don't have those, because we don't have them for the live guys. So we kind of trying to make it fair. But we're playing Nick Taylor. We are playing Nick Taylor, friends. If you take a look at his putting in majors, so far it's been amazing. If he can just keep it together around the greens, not to, 119th around the greens in strokes gained in majors, 18th in putting, though. So he's got that explosivity. And if you need to get deep into the teens, Nick Taylor's your guy. And he's only 2% owned, $7,100. So sign me up there. Emiliano Grillo. We're going to play this dude. We're going to play Brian Harmon. I am a big fan of Brian Harmon in links golf conditions at $7,300. A little salary saver. I understand the 10% is a bit rough, but I like what we've been seeing. He's very, very accurate off the tee, 10th in the field in accuracy off the tee there. So we're going to play him. Andrew Putnam, what does he get up to in majors? So I don't know. we'll see what he gets up to there. Let's talk a bit more about Davis Riley. This is a very interesting person. If you take a look at strokes gained approach, I hate doing this because I never know how much is going to like pop out. Yep, look at all these stats. Okay, let's hide a few here. Davis Riley, if you take a look at what he gets up to when it comes to approach play in majors. I don't know why I haven't had this number out yet, but we'll see what goes on. Where is he? Davis. Here you are, my friend. Oh, it's easy. All you look for is the second best strokes gained approach player in majors, and then you got yourself Davis Riley's name. What on earth is that about? So if he can find the putter and the around the green game, which has not necessarily been there for him, he's been jamming in how many major rounds? 12. In 12 major rounds, he's got the second best strokes gained approach numbers. What on earth is that about? That's a bit of a conspiracy, isn't it? So Davis Riley's doing his thing. He's 7,001%. If you're going to give me a number like that in strokes gained approach in majors, at this price, at that ownership, I understand there's chaos around the greens and on them. But man, oh man, does he tend to hit his irons while in these major tournaments. I don't know what the deal is, but it's amazing. So let's go to Davis Riley, see what he can get up to. Ryan Fox is a must play at $7,400. If you take a look at him in the Open, he tends to play better than the other majors and has been playing well in his big tournaments. He's in his 9 PGA Tour starts, he's made 89% of his cuts. 78% of them have been top 40s. Boom, boom, boom. It's definitely a shorter golf course, but I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I did bring it up. I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't think it showed some sort of resemblance of a links style. I mean, it is Pebble Golf links, right, at the end of the day. So you got that going for you there, although a cliff is OB, basically. It's maybe a bit of a hazard, but it is what it is. So Patrick Harrington at 6% ownership is going to catch some serious steam, but probably warranted. If you take a look at this guy in his recent Open performances, not necessarily the best, but he's been playing good golf. He's made 100% of his 6 cuts on the PGA Tour. $6,600. And now we're going to a course that he's won, not a course, but a tournament that he's won twice in his life. A major that he's won twice in his life. Patrick Harrington, friends. And he's been playing good. Last 24 rounds, he's 48th in the field. And 2 of these starts of the 6 that he's made all 6 cuts on have been in majors. So he plays. Around the greens, he's 3rd in the field. He's tidy. For someone that's got as much distance off the tee for an old fossil as he does, he's really sharp around the greens. Now he's playing back in he was contending at one point last week. So $6,600, I know he's going to be chalky, but you got to play the guy. It's a good salary relief. Ben Griffin, same situation, yeah. $6,000 flat. He's so solid around the greens usually. We'll see what he can get up to. It's going to be one of his first majors that he's ever going to play in for Ben Griffin. Yeah, he's only played 2 major rounds before, so he missed the cut in one of them. Not ideal. We are now going over 69 minutes, unfortunately. But I'm not going to cut the show short. We've got some names to speak about. It's okay. We'll have a little social in 25 seconds when it hits to 1 hour and 9 minutes, and then we'll celebrate episode 69 because you know what? I don't do something 69 times, man. Like, I can't believe I've done this podcast 60 freaking 9 times. Like, anything more than 20, then I just stop. Like, that's just who I am in life. I don't know why. It's just how it goes, but cheers, folks. 2, 1. Episode 69. Thank you for your support. Love you all. You guys are amazing. Let's go down the board. Seamus Power is going to be 1% owned because he's got a niggly hip, which I think is a great name for a live team, a niggly hip, because they've got the niblets and all that stuff. Oh, boy. Let's talk about Tom Hoagie. He's $6,400 and 3% owned. This is when you play Tom Hoagie. Cheap, low-owned Tom Hoagie. Played nicely last week. Did his thing. So sign me up for some Tom Hoagie when his irons are playing well, and off we go there. The around the green play in majors seems to be much better, and he putts better in majors too. So it's just one of these things. Some of these ball strikers tend to do better on the short game side of things in these majors. It makes sense, though, because you're probably more ball striking dependent. So sign me up for some Tom Hoagie. I like what he can get up to. Richard Bland at 0% ownership is someone I'm very interested in. I have no idea what he's going to be getting up to, but he's hyper accurate off the tee. Doesn't have the length, probably not going to even have the length to get into those pot bunkers. And we're going to go to him. I think he's a great option, and he's shown that he can, maintain that short game baseline, which is typically what he relies on around the greens and putting. He does that in majors too. So we'll see what he can get up to there. And now he's starting to get into the 105s in stats, where there's just guys that don't have these stats because it's the Open in Europe. So we've got all these dudes without any stats. Bezzy at $6,700, 3%. If you're looking for someone that's just going to disappoint you, go to him. So no, not going to play him at all. We have a few other guys that we want to talk about. Yeah, Marcel Siem. This dude in his 4 majors, 4 rounds of majors, he's had a pretty good appearance. 8th. Played, and it was the Open. So he played nicely in the Open, I guess. And we'll see what he can get up to. He's been playing solid golf, I guess. Recently, 86th in the field. It's $5,800. Take a shot. You're going to need a few of these guys. So why not play them? I think he's an interesting individual. This Daniel Hillier is someone that's also been very popular. At $6,100, 6% owned. I don't know. I don't know if we can go there. But sign me up for Marcel. Sign me up for some Billy Horschel at $6,800. Absolutely, these 2 guys. Going to highlight them on the way down here. We're going to play Tristan Lawrence as well, just because of South African Ode. We have to play him. Just as a cheapie. This is for 150 entries, folks. Like if you're playing 3 entry or a single entry, it's almost probably better to just avoid Scotty and Rory, or play one of them and just try and play as safe as you can and just avoid the majority of the six Ks. Like stop at Chris Kirk kind of thing. I wouldn't go much further than that. It can get scary down there. But when you're playing 150 lineups, you have to get aggressive. You have to find multiple guys that are going to be 2 or 5% owned that finish inside the top 10 somehow, that nobody else has, along with Scotty, because he's $12,500. Like it's just going to be so much more difficult to get this pricing allows you to play very balanced. So the less entries you have, be ownership conscious, but I would definitely try and build a bit more balanced than, going with Scotty. That's just my opinion. Feel free to do whatever you want, but I'm just telling you guys, I'm in the mood to play because I play 150 lineups, which changes the whole way you construct your rosters. It allows you to just cycle these guys in at like 5% of your lineups, which is still 7 lineups that you're going to have a Richard Bland in at 0%. So if one of those 7 has a Scotty, it's going to have Scotty or Rory in it. Well, we're not even playing Scotty. It's going to have Rory. It's going to have Cam. It's going to have those kind of guys. Then we're in business. All it takes is for one of those 150 to kind of just hit the nuts. So that's the game plan from my side, just sharing that because I don't want you to think I'm rattling off all these names just for no reason. Francesco Molinari. He's also, why not, at $6,300, a past champion. Like at 1%, you're going to find yourself some leverage there. You never know what he gets up to on a course like this. But he was also playing incredible golf then. But throw him in a few lineups, just a little bit, and get a little different. That's just the way to go. I want to talk about Ernie, the Big Easy, my dog. Let's see what he can get up to. $5,800. We're talking about a $5,800 golfer. He's won, I think, the Open. Obviously, that's why he's in the field. And he gets it done. Ernie Els, dude. He's the Big Easy. He swings it smooth. He does his thing. The one cut he has made was at the RBC Heritage. Played nice golf there. I think he's going to be probably reliable off the tee. We'll see what he gets up to. He's also been playing solid golf on the Champions Tour. So at $5,800, no one's going to play him. He's a wily old fox. You can see these old dudes get it done. Tom Watson, you never know what happens. These guys have played great golf their whole life. All it takes is one inspired week for something to go right. So putting Ernie Els in the lineup for sure. I know we've kind of skipped over Zach Johnson. There we go. He's at $6,000 flat. And this has got even more reason to actually kind of be excited about this. He's $6,000, but in his 15 starts for the Ryder Cup captain, the US guy, he's made 73% of his cuts. And we're getting him at min price, essentially. I know it's 55 is min, but $6,000 is min price. For Zach Johnson, 0% owned. Past British Open champion, the Open Championship champion golfer of the year, Zach Johnson. If weather gets intense, we know he likes to get... He's from Iowa. We know how these blizzards, and we play golf in all the crappiest weather. He plays in that stuff. Let's go, Zach. But it's going to be soft, So we'll see if he can handle a long golf course in that kind of... Oh, and first round leader, that's probably also another thing. Like, I feel like Pebble's a little harder, a little bit more roll. I think there's not going to be that much roll out there this week. It's going to be very soft. So that 7,300 yards is playing 7,400, 7,385 is playing a little longer than that. So we'll see what happens and go from there. I think that's about it for me. I'm not entirely sure I'm that thrilled about anybody else. Yeah. Louis at $6,900. Maybe if you feel frisky, past Open Champion 2, can putt lights out. Let's throw him in the mix there, as a little salary saver just for a few lineups. And yeah, that's what we're going to do, boys, girls. That's it for us. Little Open Championship chatteroo. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your support. Feel free to share in those comments. Get yourself in the draw for the $69. Go retweet my pinned tweet on Twitter. And then we go. Again, rotoballer.com. Use code Maniac for all our premium stuff. The stat buffet, what you're seeing here on the model, I've filtered on the top 20 for everything. Distance, accuracy, weighted strokes gained, the top 10 rates for everybody, the top 20% T20s for sub $8,000 golfers, top 40s for sub $7,000 golfers. So you're finding all these guys filtered out for you in the stat buffet that I put out there. Breaking 100's free. I got my value plays article that's been kicking some butt. So it takes 9 guys and finds you guys that are under $8,000 that you can play in DFS that try and make the cut and get themselves up there. So again, thank you so much, folks, for your support. Like, subscribe, do all that jazz, and go retweet that pinned tweet on the Model Maniacs Twitter page to get yourself in the draw for $69. And I'll see y'all tomorrow with my man Curtain Call, who will be just kind of hanging out with me. We'll have a few seltzers, as our bros, the bro beans do. And we're going to chat about some ownership. We're going to chat about some leverage and pivots and kind of maybe take a last peek at the weather and see where we can go. A little crash course, last minute cram session from the two of us. So till then, we'll catch y'all tomorrow.